Hi guys, it's Amber. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for coming back. If you're new here, then hi, I'm Amber. Thank you so much for coming and welcome to the Madhouse. This is now week 8 of the fertility episodes. So one more episode and we're halfway through. So we've only actually got 11 left. This week I thought that we would cover polycystic ovarian syndrome. The reason I have chosen to cover this is because if you follow me on Instagram, which I hope you are. If you're not, pause, stop, head over there now and do it. The reason I'm doing this is because I've spoken about it a lot over the last couple of weeks on my Instagram. It will come as no surprise that I am once again late for Aunt Flo's visit, and we are now heading on to day 17. This is really starting to drive me crazy. But the reason it is doing this is because of my polycystic ovarian syndrome, also known as PCOS. Therefore, I thought it'd be really cool if we just sat down and we spoke about it all, as I get asked about it an awful lot. So I thought if I just did it this way and we were all on the same page from here on in. So, I hope you're all alright. It's been a mad week actually. I have had a really crazy week at work, as per, nothing new there. But then on top of that, I have literally, my entire life has just revolved around trying to get this period coming. Everything you could possibly do, I have done. I have followed all the advice. I have read so many articles giving me all this different advice. So I have been drinking turmeric tea, I've been drinking ginger tea, I've been drinking spearmint tea. On top of that, I've been going for really long walks, and I'm talking like 2.5 hours with a dog. I've been doing exercise. I have, what else have I done? I've been eating raw parsley. Yeah, this is probably not the best time of my life right now. I am definitely not living my best life. But it is what it is, and I'm hoping that in the next couple of days the ball finally starts rolling, because I am losing my mind here. So yeah, any tips? Let me know please, I am struggling. So PCOS is the talk of today, so go grab yourself a cup of tea, get yourself all nice and comfy, and then we are once again going to talk all things vagina. Hi guys, welcome back. I hope you're really comfy. I hope you've got your cup of tea, cup of hot chocolate, cup of coffee, whatever it is that takes your fancy. But I hope you're all nice and cozy, because now we're going to get down to the business. So, as I said, we're going to be talking about PCOS today, so that is polycystic ovarian syndrome. So, there are two different types. You either have polycystic ovaries or you have polycystic ovarian syndrome. I have the syndrome. So if you have PCOS, so you have the syndrome, you do not actually have polycystic ovaries, which means that you have fluid-filled sacs on your ovaries. So effectively you have cysts on your ovaries. With PCOS, the two main features tend to be really irregular periods, which means you're not ovulating properly, and then on top of that is excess androgen. Now androgen is a bit like a male hormone. Effectively it is a male hormone, but it basically means that you've got too much of that in your body, so it causes things like excess hair growth in places that you don't want it. So I will quite often get a bit of hair on my chin, or my moustache seems unusually dark, or I'll get hairs on my chest, on my back, just places that you don't really want it and where it isn't really very attractive. So if you think you have a hard time shaving your legs every month, hun, walk a mile in my shoes. So yeah, it's really not great. It's not the prettiest of conditions, but so many people have it. I think because it can be quite embarrassing, a lot of women don't like to talk about it, so it is quite surprising how many people are actually going through this. But hi, I'm one of them. Woo! A lot of the symptoms for PCOS won't actually become apparent to you until you're in your 20s, but it is usually in your 20s that these symptoms start to come out and you perhaps realise that something isn't quite right. So I've already said about your irregular periods, and I've also said about the excess androgen, but on top of that, another thing that you really struggle with if you have PCOS, or in some cases, is weight gain. So you are very prone to gaining weight very easily, and then it is really quite difficult to lose it. I have always yo-yoed with my weight. I have fluctuated from anything from a size 6 to a size 14 and have done pretty much all my life. But with the PCOS, it also makes it really hard to actually lose the weight. So I might get up to a size 14 really easily, but losing that weight is actually really difficult. And you can go to the gym and you can eat well and all the rest of it, but it's just that little bit harder to lose that tum. So there are specific diet plans that are available to people with PCOS, so I will link a few of those below, but some of them are really, really helpful. I think it kind of highlights the foods that are really good specifically for you and foods that you should avoid. So yeah, if you have a look down below, then I will link those for you. And while you're at it, pause the screen and make sure that you're subscribing to the channel as well. Another symptom of PCOS is the thinning or general loss of hair. So I have extremely thick hair, so this thinning isn't something that I really struggle with. I do have the odd Terry the Tuft, but that is mainly because I tie my hair up, or used to tie my hair up, and when I do it so tight that it's snapped. Hair loss, however, is something that I struggle with. So I don't lose, I mean, everybody loses about, I think it's about 200 strands of hair a day, whereas I reckon I could seriously give these normal people a run for their money. A lot of people will get it where it kind of comes in little clumps, and it's not really ideal. I mean, it's not usually like full frontal bald patches, but hair loss is a real big thing, especially the thinning of the hair. And on top of that, another thing that I really do struggle with is oily skin. So I have combination skin really. I get very dry around here, and around the very top of my head here, whereas kind of my T-zone especially and my chin, you could fry things off my face. I reckon there is enough oil on my face to seriously like deep fry. McDonald's may as well get rid of their deep fat fryers and just use my face. Really, that's how oily my skin is. Sometimes it's really bad. Sometimes I will take a selfie and be like, I don't remember putting highlighter there, but actually I didn't put highlighter there and it is just oil. So that is something that I really struggle with. So realistically, most of the symptoms, bar the hair loss, I'm a bit buggered for, really. The only thing I don't get is the cysts on my ovaries, and the reason I don't have that is because I haven't got polycystic ovaries. I have polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's really quite different, but there are the two different things. So I'm talking to you about the syndrome rather than the actual cysts. So as well, if you have PCOS, chances are that you may struggle to get pregnant. It doesn't mean that you are infertile, but what it does mean is that you may struggle because you aren't ovulating regularly. You aren't ovulating at the same rate as everybody else, because your periods are quite often quite few and far between. So I've gone through phases where my periods have been 2 weeks, as in 2 weeks between them, and then I've also gone through phases where I've been waiting nearly 6 months for a period. So regular ovulation isn't really my thing, to be honest, nor is it the thing of anyone with polycystic ovarian syndrome. On top of that, it can also increase your chances of things like type 2 diabetes and high cholesterol. So again, diet is really important when you have PCOS. Otherwise, not only are you just going to put weight on all the time, which I do, but obviously you have to be careful because of things like type 2 diabetes and high cholesterol. Things like that, like heart problems, already run in my family anyway, on the female side, so it is something that I specifically should be taking care of. I don't. I am really, really bad at binge eating. I will quite often sit there and demolish one of these great big bars of dairy milk in one sitting, as well as a tub of Pringles. My vice really is junk food, so this is something that I really need to work on, and I will talk to you a bit later about how I'm working on that, and hopefully I can help you a little bit do that as well. PCOS, sounded a bit Australian there. So PCOS is related to insulin. So insulin kind of controls your blood sugar levels. However, people with PCOS are kind of immune, I suppose, to, not immune, but they're more resistant to what insulin actually does, and therefore their body produces so much more insulin than it actually needs to kind of compensate for this. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. Your body overcompensates for something that your body resists. Yeah, effectively, that's what it does. So when it comes to treating PCOS, there isn't a specific cure, but there are certain things that can help. So it is things like losing weight, which nobody really wants to do, but that is something that I think will help, because, and at the end of the day, you don't want to be at risk of type 2 diabetes or having high cholesterol, and you want to be able to enjoy the things that you enjoy. So it is all about moderation, but like I say, there are certain diets. On top of that, you can go on things like the pill, which can help regulate your periods, and there are different medications that can help with things like the excessive hair growth, and then worst case scenario, there is something called an ovarian drilling. Now, I don't know much about that because my case isn't severe enough to have it, but I do believe that that removes excess tissue that does cause the higher levels of testosterone. So there are different things that can help, but like I say, you know, keeping on top of your weight can help your symptoms, but I don't like to focus too much on my weight. I hate looking at my weight and seeing it as a number. I don't really enjoy it. I am really self-conscious, and so with PCOS that does make it harder, but yeah, I think it's just not really ideal to have to watch what you eat for medical reasons rather than your own choice. I think it's not ideal for anyone, and like I say, you know, my periods are really irregular no matter what weight I am, and it really winds me up, but on top of that they are really painful, and I do get really bad pains, and it's just not ideal. And I really do feel for anybody in the same situation as me who is suffering, because it really is horrible. It's embarrassing, like, I'm not gonna lie, there have been times where I've sat there and I've gone, oh my god, I can feel a hair on my chin, and to me it feels really thick, really long, and I'm thinking, oh my god, am I sat here with like this great big wiry hair hanging out my chin and everybody within a 10-mile radius can see it? It's not really great. So there are times where I have to sit there and pluck my chin. I have had somebody comment on the hair on my lip before, which again isn't really ideal. I am usually really on top of that. I use a hair removal cream to get rid of it. Everybody gets it, and it doesn't help that I'm so dark haired as well, but I do seem to get a little bit more than I probably should. And so when somebody points that out to you, it's really not very nice, and all you want to do is be swallowed by the ground and just disappear for the rest of your life. So yeah, it's not really great. It does impact me in relationships. I know when I first met Marco, and I first started seeing Marco, I would refuse to take my bra off for quite some time. I would make out that it was because I didn't like my boobs, when actually it was because every now and again I'd get a random hair there, and I'm not just talking like a little wispy thing. So yeah, whereas now I'm a bit more like, oh, if it's there, it's there, but I'll get rid of them. Obviously I won't just walk around looking like the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, but unfortunately it is part of my life, and it's part of my daily life, and it will be part of my life for the rest of it, so I kind of have to embrace it. It's not really great when you go on holiday and you're like, oh bugger, snail trails there, thought I got rid of that, and you've not, but it is what it is, and you kind of have to just suck it up and deal with it. There are different things you can do. I really don't recommend shaving your face. I think it is something that some people who have that symptom really bad do, but I just think, oh, the risk, I couldn't risk getting any kind of shaving rash, so for me it is just hair removal cream all the way. If I do get it on my belly, things like that, and I'm in the shower and I see it, then yeah, okay, occasionally I will just whip the razor over it, but it's just I don't know, I've just got a thing about razors on your face, and unless you have to, I wouldn't recommend. You can get like hair removal creams that are for sensitive skin, and things like that, and like I say, if it really is a problem, then go see your doctor, because there might be things that they can do or prescribe you that will help you manage that particular symptom. It's not really great, and you know, sitting there doing this all the time isn't really ideal, but anyone with PCOS can't tell me that they've never sat at work, caught a hair and been like, ah, I must be subtle in the removal of this hair. And actually, it's like, not ideal. I just want to stress that having PCOS doesn't mean that you can't get pregnant. Most women with PCOS with treatment can get pregnant, and I don't mean with IVF and things like that, I just mean with help regulating their periods, with help ovulating. For some women, it doesn't matter. Like, some women won't need any treatment. Some people, you know, you don't not ovulate altogether. You do ovulate, just not very regularly. So you can still get pregnant naturally. There is nothing stopping you doing that. So please don't watch this video and think because I'm infertile it means that you will be. I'm infertile for reasons that aren't to do with my PCOS. PCOS just kind of makes that a little bit more complicated for me. But like I say, it has nothing to do with the reason I'm infertile, so please don't get your wires crossed on that. Just because you have PCOS doesn't mean that you can't get pregnant. Also, do not self-diagnose. If you kind of think that you have that, or you match any of the symptoms and you want it looking at, go to your GP. Don't think that because your periods are irregular, you automatically have PCOS. Don't think that just because every now and again you get a bit of a snail trail, you have PCOS. You might just be dark haired. There's a lot of different reasons for a lot of different things, but do not self-diagnose. Don't go on Google, read it and think, yep, that's what I have. Go to your doctor. They're experts for a reason. We're not. Eating a high protein diet is a lot better than eating a high carb diet if you have PCOS. So a low carb, high protein is much better for you. High protein really helps with reducing the appetite, so that helps with the weight gain, the weight loss, and it really helps as well with regulating those testosterone levels as a result of that. So that is something that will be stressed kind of across the diets, and it will be quite low carb. So I'm not saying you should go totally keto and never eat a pizza again, because we all know that that would be hell on earth. But things like fish are really, really good for you. You also want to be adding things like high fibre vegetables, so broccoli is a really good one. Like I say, you want to be eating plenty of fish, especially oily fish. And then on top of that, things like turmeric and anything that is known for being anti-inflammatory, because that will help. So that is why I've been drinking an awful lot of turmeric tea and adding turmeric to my food, because I want to induce a period, and so therefore it will help with that, hopefully, she says. But that is generally the type of things that you should be eating. I've just done a bit of a Google for you so I can kind of go through some of the foods with you rather than just trying to reel them off the top of my head. I'm just going to read you a few that I have found on, so this is the Healthline website. I don't know if that's going to focus, probably not. So these are a few things that I've found on the Healthline website. I am going to go through some of these. So a lot of these are high fibre foods. So you have vegetables such as broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, greens, so red leaf lettuce as well, green and red peppers, beans, lentils, almonds, berries, sweet potatoes, winter squash, pumpkin, things like tofu, chicken and fish. So they are really good for you. Tomatoes, kale, spinach, walnuts, olive oil, blueberries, strawberries, and then fatty fish high in omega-3 fatty acids, so salmon and sardines, things like that. They help with the inflammation. So the top, until I got to tomatoes, were all kind of just high fibre and really lean protein sources, and then below that, that was all anti-inflammatory. Things to avoid, so white bread and muffins, sugary snacks, drinks, things like processed and red meat. So red meat I have pretty much cut out of my diet. I only really have red meat when I'm having lasagna, which I have maybe once a month. And then every now and again I'll have it in pasta, but literally maybe twice a month I have red meat, and then it's in the form of mince. Things like white potatoes, I struggle cutting them out, but again it's something that I eat in moderation rather than completely cutting it out my diet. Anything with white flour, so again I suppose going gluten-free is a good thing, but I don't always think going gluten-free is the best thing. I think, you know, it's really good things being gluten-free, but you walk down the gluten aisles and you kind of look at some of the replacements and they are high in other things. So I would like to, the way I see everything is kind of do it in moderation. So some things I will have gluten-free, some things I won't. So it just depends kind of on your preference, I suppose. Let's have a look. So pasta, again, is something that I really struggle to cut out. I'm married to an Italian, so that does make it quite hard for me. But again, it isn't something that we have all the time. I tend to not cook it. So the only time we really have pasta is when we go around to his dad's. His dad cooks it every Monday for us, but I'm not there every Monday because of work. So again, maybe twice a month I'll have pasta. What else? So sugary drinks, again, it's one of those things where you don't want to completely cut everything out, and you shouldn't be cutting everything out, and you should be able to enjoy things, and you should be able to have your little sweet treats, and nobody's saying to stop that. But as I said, everything is about moderation, and you need to be eating everything in moderation to help those symptoms. So yeah, that's it. So I think what I'm going to do over the next kind of, well, in the future really, from here on in. Sorry, I've just realised my face seems a bit blurry. That's a bit better. So yeah, from here on in really, I am going to be sharing different tips with you, different dietary tips. They will all be on my Instagram. So again, if you're not following, then do make sure that you stop, go over to my Instagram and click on the follow button for me. And over the next few weeks, everything will be, not everything, but I will be showing you different meals, different things that I've tried, different websites, different accounts that are really good for the PCOS diet. The final thing I wanted to show you was a little diary that I have. So this wonderful thing is my PCOS diary from Barefaced Prints. I will again put the link for this in my bio, but I absolutely love this. So this is absolutely fantastic. So you will see here, so you've got all your goals in here. So it just acts as a bit of a support. So you can see some of the pages here, and it will ask you, so your goals. So I believe this one is write good things about yourself down, effectively. So how have things been, what is good this year, what are you the most proud of, and what have you had to celebrate. So I've written a few things in there, and then you go on to get it off your chest and write it all down. So what you're struggling with, your challenges, what you'd like to change, and your frustrations, going on by your worries, your doubts and your fears, anything that is stopping you taking control of your PCOS. So one of my things is that I stopped smoking in March. I was a very heavy smoker and have been for a very, very long time. We're talking in like 10 years at least. Very heavy smoker, and when I stopped smoking I replaced that with junk food, and on top of that, after my infertile diagnosis, all I did was eat food, and that seemed to be the only thing that I could control, and I do have a very unhealthy relationship with food. So that was all things that I've written down in there. So then things that you'd like to kind of look forward to, your dreams, your aspirations if you like, some goals. There is literally, it's never ending. So this bit is all about your nutrition. So part 2 is your nutrition. You do have things in, so being brutally honest about your diet. So I found that really hard, but it was also a really big eye-opener for me at just how much junk I actually put into my body. And if anything, I was quite embarrassed when I was writing that down. Like, nobody sees it but me. But I felt really embarrassed, and for me that was a really good thing, and a really good motivator, if you like, for me to change my journey, for me to change my diet. So here, triggers, again with your eating, but it is just fantastic. So there's a diet plan here. So this is from the Fertility Kitchen, and again I'll tag them below, but they do like a complete diet plan in here for you, and there's all these different things. So foods you can enjoy, different foods that are really good for you. There is so much in here. Healthy snacks, insulin regulation, and it's just, I find it really quite inspirational, I think is the right word, but also really motivational. So you've got all your meal plans, and it is brilliant. So you have breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner. So you're not going hungry on it. It's not something like that, but it is really good with foods that are all really optimizing for your fertility. And this entire diary is just an absolutely fantastic idea. Like, you have here like a turmeric and ginger fertility latte, and just all these different recipes, and it's amazing. And I honestly think Nat, who owns Barefaced Prints, has just seriously hit the nail on the head here. I get so excited every time I talk about this. But everything in here, so again, your worries, the basics, so fertility fitness in here, there is a different terminology, different workouts for you, weight loss goals, and then you're managing your PCOS for life. And I think that's really important, because I think everything that's out there is kind of a short-term plan. So you hear about all these different fad diets that I'm really not a fan of, because I think you follow them for about 6 weeks, and then as soon as you start eating normally again, you put all the weight back on, whereas this is kind of a lifestyle thing rather than a short-term diet. But yeah, it's brilliant, and you've got all your little diary in the back, and I love it. I really do love it. She also does like IVF stickers on her website, things like that you can include, but I'll again put the link for that below. But generally, honestly, if you have PCOS, I really recommend one of these books. They are amazing, so I am going to link it below, because I just think she's wonderful, and I think this business really deserves some recognition. So if you are struggling with PCOS, or you're going through IVF, anything like that, check out her website. It is linked below, but it is absolutely fantastic. And these diaries, honestly, they have made such a difference to me, with just knowing what is good for my body, because I think I've needed something like that. I've needed something to motivate me, and like I say, writing down my diet and things like that, I felt embarrassed, and that embarrassment has led to me therefore thinking, right, I really need to change, because if I find it embarrassing, then how am I going to feel if I ever had to stand up and say, look at what I eat in a day? So that's what I'm going to do from here on in. So yeah, I definitely recommend one of those, especially if you want to take control of your PCOS. So yeah, head over to Barefaced Prince, because she's fabulous. Okay, so that is me done for today. So I hope that you have found this video motivational, educational, or that you've just enjoyed my company, really. But yeah, thank you so much for coming back. Next week we will be uploading on Saturday as well, so next week will be episode 9. Next week we are officially halfway through these fertility episodes. It is Halloween soon. This time of year is my favourite time of year, so I am going to start dropping videos non-fertility related during the week. I have got a few little Halloween videos lined up. I get so much anxiety about posting videos that aren't fertility related, because I just do, but I'm just going to bite the bullet and do it. The amount I've filmed and then I've not done anything with. So I am now going to actually start doing it. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Make sure that you have subscribed. Make sure that you like. Drop me a little comment below. Let me know kind of what things you do to regulate your PCOS, or different things that you've been told, or different things that you do to help you. I'm really interested to see what other people do rather than just what I do. So thank you so much for joining me once again. Make sure that you subscribe, and I will see you next week, kids.